What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the edition of the Vicktory Life Legacy Spotlight. Today, I have one of the best coaches, not just in the 703 Northern Virginia, but one of the best coaches in the state, Coach Darryl Overton, head coach of Hylton High School football. Coach, how you doing, man?
I'm good, brother, man. Glad to be here. An honor to come on, and like you said, man, I'm doing good. We got a game today, so it's a game day. Finally a day with no school, but you got a game, so that's different.
Who y'all got today, man?
We play Riverbend.
Okay. Yeah, so your boys ready?
I hope so. With high school kids, you never know until it's happening.
No doubt, man. Well, Coach, man, you have quickly established yourself as one of the top coaches in Virginia, a state known for great programs throughout the Commonwealth. You took over a handful of years ago, and you got a lot of kids that weren't playing football at the Route 1 corridor to join your program. But you also have been known to help other students that don't play ball. You've also been able to work with other youth and high school coaches that support you and respect your brand. But before we talk about your coaching career and the plans you have for Freedom, because I know I want to dive into that, I want to start off where it all started for you. I want to talk about your journey, the platform, and the foundation, because you, Jeff, shout out to the Overton family, you and your brothers have established yourself as also a talented sports family. And I want to talk about where it all started, man. Like, where'd you play youth football? Your parents' influence on you? Let's talk about that.
Man, I'm kind of probably, I think we might be the last of that generation cut from that cloth where not just me and Jeff, but I got two younger brothers, Howard and Dion, also different dad, but we brothers. Howard played on the Buccaneers, the Steelers, and the Bears. They both played at Shepherd. So, our thing started off with mom and dad saying, and grandma, you playing football, and we was a rec pack kid. We went to rec pack every day, got dropped off at the community center in the summer, and you played every sport there was from 9 to 5 till your mom or your dad, whoever came and picked you up. And I always think that's funny now when you see all the colleges saying they want you to be multi-sport athletes. When, our generation, we were rec pack kids. We weren't specializing. We were at the YMCA all day playing everything.
No doubt.
Yeah. So I played. Go ahead.
No, you fine. You played. What did you play? Tell us what you played.
So I played my youth football at Braddock Road Youth Club, and then I eventually came to Woodbridge, and I played with City Sports Club, which was, the premier, youth organization in the Woodbridge area at that time. And then, like you said, we also played basketball, baseball, played everything. Our mom just came in the house and said, I signed y'all up for this. You got practice Tuesday. So we kind of played everything.
It's funny. I've had a lot of, you're a little bit younger than me, but I've had a lot of gentlemen and ladies that said the same thing that were former athletes, whether they coach now or they're retired. And they said the same thing growing up. It wasn't even no option. I mean, your parents just put you in something. You tried it, whether you liked it, you did it. And many times you end up being really good at it, man. And it is what it is. Guys specialize, ladies specialize now. But it is what it is, man. Let's talk about real quick, though, your brothers, because I am familiar with your brothers and your family, man. Talk about how competitive it was growing up. Did you guys push each other? Was it a love fight relationship? Like, did you guys I'm the best in the house? Or is it like when we left this house, we were one, but in that house, we were going at it?
Well, we were always competitive as a group. I mean, it just, like you said, it could be over racing up the steps to get something. When you got four boys, you're going to get that. I think, like you said, everybody conceded to the fact that I was the best when we were younger. Nobody started challenging me for the throne till later. But, I think I started with them and the people in my neighborhood, like knowing I was going to be a coach. I used to take my brother out and people in my neighborhood at like 7 in the morning, and we go over plays to play against other neighborhoods. So we was competitive from the beginning. And like you said, my dad, my grandma, my mom, they kind of like were your biggest critics. They be like, you think you did something? You didn't do nothing. I'm like, hold up, I had 4 touchdowns. You know what I mean? So not only was my siblings competitive, but, my parents, my support group was very like wanting you to be your best. And they was on us.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. You talked about your neighborhood, man. I didn't grow up here. I moved to Northern Virginia about 21 years ago. My wife was from up here, and I quickly realized, as I traveled throughout Prince William County and Fairfax, but especially in Prince William where I live and have lived for a long time, it's some athletes up here. And you and your brothers are part of that community of great athletes. But talk about some other athletes growing up when you were, growing up in your community and neighborhood, like some other guys that when you saw they were going to give you work, you're going to give them work. Just let's take it back to that time when you were growing up.
Woo. Like you said, it was just so competitive. Like the youth league time, like, and it was one league and everybody played on different teams based on where they lived. But once I came to Woodbridge full time, I have to say, even back then, Ahmad Brooks was a guy. The guys, Reggie was a guy on other teams. James, Joe Parker, his whole
Mm,
family, the Parkers was good guys. Then you had guys like Harry. I mean, it was like the neighborhood teams. Anthony Whiting. It was like always the same battle every year versus the same groups of guys. Man. We had a guy named Pringle that was good back when I played. So the thing is, you saw those same guys every year. So
yeah,
it made it
yeah.
competitive.
Yes, I've heard that when I moved up here talking to guys in the youth league. It used to be just one big league.
Yep.
And then now everybody kind of split off, regardless if they were avoiding competition, they wanted to start their own thing. It is what it is, but you named some really great players. We're going to talk about you and Ahmad here a little bit later, man. He was a dog himself, but a lot of guys I've had on and women athletes, coach, they talk about how they just were enjoying playing. They were in the moment. Now we have Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. We have all these recruiting publications, magazines, kind of highlighting the top ranked middle school players. We kind of hear about these kids as they're coming up, where guys like you and I, we were just in the moment. We were playing. And they get to high school, all of a sudden you're like, okay, I am pretty good. Talk about when you got to high school and when the light bulb went off for you, when you were like, okay, I can really do this, full time. I could be something special. When did that light bulb come? Because everybody transitions differently. Some guys, they start off on JV, they get cut, or, for you, what was that process like?
So funny, ironically, so we moved, like my dad lived in Maryland the entire time. Me and my mom and us, they weren't together, but we lived in Landover, Maryland. And then
Mm-hmm.
my summer going into eighth grade is kind of when we moved down here permanently. So going into high school, I didn't even play freshman football at Hylton for Hall of Fame Coach Brown as a freshman. So my 10th grade year, I was like, well, I'm going to play football here at the school now because I'm here. So I went out and, I was looking, the running back line was long. The quarterback line was long. And the receiver line was short. So I was playing receiver. And, we playing JV. I'm on JV. Ahmad Brooks is on JV. Karibi Didi's on JV. And we the best guys clearly in practice. Every day we would go over to go against varsity. And we would get ready to run out there, and the JV coach would stop us and be like, whoa, don't y'all go out there. Just stay over here. So at that time, he's like, yo, what's going on with this? Why we can't get out there? So long story short, we played the first JV game, and it was versus North Stafford. I mean, I ran back like 2 kicks. I caught a pass. Ended up having like 3 touchdowns. And obviously Ahmad, all the talent we had, those guys were awesome. Coach Brown and Coach Williams were the coach. They stopped me coming off the field and they said, sir, young man, where did you come from? It's like, where did you come from? And why you not playing running back? I said the running back line was just too long in the beginning of the camp. So kind of put them on notice. Played one more JV game. Me and Ahmad played one more JV game versus Garfield, and they snatched us off JV.
No doubt.
They snatched us off JV. I guess that's what the JV coach is trying to avoid for all the 2 days, not letting us go out there for varsity. So they snatched us off JV. So I'm just taking reps, not really starting. And we get ready to play a game, and the senior wide receiver breaks his finger in the warm-up lines, catching a pass. So now I went from just dressing to you're in. And kind of from that moment on, man, took off. We went to the state championship. We won versus Verona, Mike Robb. You know, my sophomore year, then the same thing junior year, back-to-back state champs, won. Then my senior year, Coach Brown was like, I'll move you to quarterback. The guy said you can play quarterback, so let's see if you can play quarterback. So he came and checked me out. I was at Art Monk camp at George Mason doing quarterback. He watched about 20 minutes. He was like, I see all I need to see. And my senior year, I actually played quarterback. And we were riding like a 30-game win streak at that time. And we had we played against Dunbar from DC that had Winbush, Burton Davis, Monte Davis. They were loaded, man. All those guys. We played against Jerome Mathis in Petersburg. We played against Scott Turner in Oakton. Had a great schedule. And Ahmad broke his ankle in the second scrimmage versus Paul VI. And we kind of just ran through the season, man. And we were good. And I was the number one passer in the whole DC area.
The whole DMV?
Yeah, in the post, I had 126 rating.
That's crazy.
No interceptions, no turnovers. Just we having a great season. We had a great team. I think Coach Brown to this day say that was his best team. And we're playing Osborne. And the season been going so easy that Coach Brown would have to take the starters out at halftime. And he started making us run at halftime.
That's crazy.
Because we weren't in shape. Because we hadn't played the whole game. And I'm doing a rollout pass and guy pulls my jersey thinking I just sprained my ankle. I end up being out the rest of the game after the half, and we go back into the next week treating it as a sprained ankle. And we get to practice and I can't run. I could drop back and pass, but I couldn't run. And the trainer kind of gets in my face and he's like, you're acting like it was. You know, go get it checked out so you can see you're fine. And when to get it checked out, fractured.
Oh, man.
We had a great team, and my brother Jeff ended up having to step in and play quarterback. And we went all the way to the state semis without me or Ahmad. We still had DJ Wallen, who was great, and Kaminsky, and we still had a solid team, but we didn't have, Ahmad is a big enough factor to lose. And then I was the quarterback and started safety, and we didn't have me either. So with that said, Coach Brown did a great job coaching, and we still made it to the state semis. But when you run against, Deep Creek, and they got D Hall and Tapp and Anderson and Clifton, they was loaded.
That was a really good team at Deep Creek. Yeah, that was a great team. Mm-hmm.
And they flipped us in the state semis, and me and Ahmad Brooks both on the sideline and in crutches watching, and nothing we could do about it. So I think to this day, I feel like if we would have had both of us, we'd have won 3 in a row. You know what I mean? It didn't happen that way, and I was blessed enough to do enough to start catching people's eye and recruiting and stuff like that. So it worked out well.
Coach, I want to talk to you. I want to ask you this question, man. This is just me, not just for your legacy spotlight. I want to know this, man. I love hearing stories about when people reflect on their careers, right? Because you had a remarkable career. And even though you guys didn't win that 3rd win in a row, I remember those Hylton teams. You guys created a standard at Hylton that really still hasn't been matched yet. But individually, I want you to take me back to a night or a Saturday afternoon or a Friday night where you were in your bag, as the kids say. Is there a game when you say, hey, I'm going to tell you something, this night I was in the zone? I know you had a lot of great games, but is there a game you think about when you're talking, just reminiscing about, look, we were playing Potomac or we were playing Stonewall? Was there a game where you were like, yo, I killed them, I did it all? Is there a game?
Well, if I had to pick one from high school, it had to be versus Dunbar, because coming into the game, like nobody knew about me. All you heard was Josh Gribbs at Dunbar and Vernon Davis and Daryl Dowry. And I kind of think that was like my coming out part. I think I hit him for like 177 passing at the half and like 91 rushing at the end of the game. I ended up having like 249 and like an additional like 97 rushing. So, that game in high school, I would say, and then probably my freshman year when I went to JUCO, I was behind a Auburn drop down, and it never seemed like I was going to play. And he got hurt, and we were playing against one of the best teams in the country, Georgia Military. And I go out there fresh off the bench, you get 3 interceptions, run one back, block a punt, and that kind of shot me off. So I had to pick those 2 times. But the one versus Dunbar, I remember because in the post, the front page in the post that morning was me running and scoring. And like you said, I remember that for a long time.
That's special, man. That's real special. I do want to ask you this as well. This is just insight. I'm curious about your opinion. We have a lot of young men now and young ladies that play high school sports, youth football, youth basketball, whatever. You talked about how competitive your family was and how you and Ahmad and so many talented players you competed with and competed against. Talk about your regiment, because now there's a lot of controversy surrounding trainers, because you have trainers who understand, who know if you play receiver, I'm going to train you to prepare for the season as a receiver. What did you and your brothers do and your teammates do in the off season? Like, because I talked to some guys and they say, what's crazy, Vic, man, I just worked out. I went to the track. My uncle dropped me off and I just worked out. I didn't have a speed ladder. I'm not knocking all that. I think that helps. But do you think, not so much kids overdo it, but do you think when you look back on your career, I know things have changed, but what did you guys do to prepare?
I just think back then, like you said, 7-on-7 and stuff was kind of like, it wasn't like a big thing yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think all things come full circle, man. Honestly, I think what we did was just as good. Like, you know what I did? I went and played pickup basketball with grown-ass men on 98-degree days out in the heat. You know what I mean? Like, that's the things we did. Or, you were outside playing pickup all day in the neighborhood. And I think, like you said, you develop all those motor skills when you're doing multiple sports. So I kind of think we were doing that just in a more indirect way.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that kind of was our training regimen. Now, we lifted at school and stuff like that. But even then, like, nobody was taking me to no field and training me in my positions and all that type of stuff. I was playing basketball versus grown men and getting mentally tough and and physically tough. You know what I mean? And
I love it. Yeah.
And I think I benefited from my neighborhood in Woodbridge, Silverdale, Satterfield. A lot of older kids that played at our Hylton was around. So they always wanted to play football and basketball versus us young guys and try to beat us up. So, those guys, I mean, that's all we did is play sports year round. I mean, no matter what they were, even if it was just outside. I don't remember doing any specific training back then.
I think you're right, too, because I talked about this with different guys like such as Coach Sherman Rivers over at Patriot now. He's been on Legacy Spotlight. Lauren Johnson, who you scrimmaged a few years ago down in Highland Springs. And neither one of them are against what the kids do today, but I do think there's something about what you just described, that toughness that you get from not just doing other sports, but also competing against older guys. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of guys that have come through your program who've excelled, who do the regiment in the off season, who train. I'm for all, fine tuning your product. But I just wanted to get your opinion on that, because I do think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. Coach, so you had a great career at Hylton. You led them to 2 state championships. Should have been a third. Now it's your senior year and you graduate. A lot of guys, again, now comparatively speaking, we have the kids now, they kind of know, like you get on Twitter, blessed to receive my 20th offer. And, again, you come from a different era where you were heavily recruited. There were a lot of people who knew how talented you were, but we didn't have social media. How did the recruiting process work for you when you were at Hylton, and where did you end up going?
Probably kind of the same way it worked for you, man. It was, I hope to God I go to Virginia Tech, because at that time, I knew I was going to college to play DB. So I visited Tech. Coach Foster loved me. To this day, he's one of my best friends. But he told me, he's like, your footwork is impeccable, but we got to get this transcript right. And I visited there. I visited Tennessee State. I still wanted to play quarterback in the back of my mind. So I visited West Carolina. I visited UVA about DB. So, back then it was, like you said, it wasn't as much exposure to everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I've been watching Jimmy Smith kill at Tech. I want to go there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's
Jimmy Williams?
Yeah, Jimmy Williams. Like,
Jimmy Williams. Yeah.
That's where I want to be. So, I think that was kind of the thing then. I still did the same amount of official visits as the kids get now. But like you said, it was more closed in. And I tell my athletes that even for the kids, now the coaches can college, like before, Virginia Tech could only go and drive 4 or 6 hours. Now they can see kids just by getting on the internet all the way across the country that they normally wouldn't recruit. So I tell people that made it more competitive, period. But that's how I went in. I played in an all-star game, Super 44, and I played in the the Virginia High School League.
The VHSL one.
Yeah,
Yep.
VHSL one. And I played just DB in that one. But I played quarterback in the Super 44 versus Maryland. And I'll never forget. So I still was undecided what I wanted to do. And I still had my mind, wanted to play quarterback. And I played in that all-star game, and they had Rice and Chisley at DN, and both of them was 6'6", athletic. So I'm doing my normal high school thing. I'm trying to run outside and run around them. And I'm like, okay, I got, normally in high school, you get to somebody's nose while you running, you're like, I got him beat. And then they would do this and stick that arm out at 6'6", and you had to run around a whole nother person. I backpedaled out of there. I said, I'm done with quarterback. And, I committed to Tennessee State University from
Great
there.
school.
Yeah, I committed to from there. And like you said, part of my testimony, I tell my kids to this day, didn't have all the stuff that we have now, wasn't all the education. My parents, myself, weren't really up to speed on core GPA and all that. All they knew is, well, he don't got no bunch of F's, he doing all right.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I end up not having the core GPA and SAT to go there. So then I had to go to JUCO for a year, as I said, where I was behind the guy. And then I end up starting and doing really well, made All-American on the East Coast at JUCO at corner. Then I end up going to school at Tennessee State and played my sophomore year, did well, had my son here, and I came back, and I was going to go to Bowie State and play. But when I was at school, like, I got moved to quarterback again because the 2 quarterbacks got hurt. It's not like being at a Florida State. When the first quarterback get hurt, it's like, okay, we might be okay. But when the second quarterback get hurt, it's like, all right, you don't have nobody for that. So now it's kind of, you feel like you're the man because you feel like I'm playing quarterback, but I'm playing DB too. Not realizing that's not really helping you in the long run.
Yeah.
Because now you become the jack of all trades, master of none. Long story short, I came back. I ended up trying to do the pro thing. I went to some scouting combine and did well. Then I went to Hawaii and played in a free agent game right before the Pro Bowl. But I played running back. So now I'm playing something I didn't play since Little League. Long story short, I ended up playing arena football for like 5 years. Did my thing, enjoyed it. It's a crazy story. The coach for St. Francis, Masai Halamarian, he was my owner of my arena team when we was Arena 1. And, me and him just saw each other a couple weeks ago at the big youth league thing.
Yeah.
So I played arena football for like 5 years. And then, like you said, man, love of the game. I played semi-pro forever just because I love playing.
I did that too. It's funny. It's funny how our paths are similar because after I got cut from the Ravens, I did arena football. I signed with the New England Seawolves. They went on a strike that year, and they're playing for the Norfolk Nighthawks. Played a season with them under Bruce Smith, and then I moved up to Northern Virginia because my wife is from up here, and I played semi-pro ball, man, just because I loved it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, like you said, I played with arena with the Maryland Maniacs, and then I played semi-pro with, shout out Prince William Monarchs, as you know.
Hey, yo, the Monarchs, bruh. I moved up here. My rest in peace to my big brother, Big Rich Bowen.
Yep.
Him and my guy Big Rich and Sean Scales were on that team. I saw you guys play. Y'all won like 7 championships in a row, something like that, man.
And so we, like you said, I fell in love with it, and I played for the Monarchs. We won championships, and like you said, rest in peace to all those guys. And then we played, for the Virginia Spartans. I played for the Hampton Road Redskins.
Wow.
Yep.
Yo.
I played for Central Penn Piranha. And like I said, to this day, man, my network of people, and even from semi-pro, like my man Jay White, Basham in Baltimore, my man Pitt, all those guys in DC, I know, Ricky, like a lot of people that I'm close with now come from semi-pro.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of one of the true places that you get where people love the game, for the game, without all the extra stuff. It taught me a lot, and to be honest, it's probably where my coaching really started, because it kind of grew from there. Like I would try stuff out at the semi-pro level, and we just kind of blossomed from there.
So let's talk about the coaching, Coach. You know what I'm saying, Coach Overton, because I pulled up here on my phone just because I'm not gonna get to all of this, but shout out to your guy Reggie. He's probably one of the biggest PME supporters and freedom supporters. I mean, he should get a statue outside of Freedom, because he always is posting the videos and the highlights. I see all of this stuff, but he posted an amazing picture with just highlighting some of your accomplishments, and just to read off some of this: 3-time Cardinal District champions, 27-3 Cardinal District record, 45-13 overall record, a state championship appearance, 4 All-Met players, over 25 first-team All-District selections, 10-plus first-team All-State selections, 2-time all-time sports points scored in the season 2019 and 2017, 12 first-team All-Region selections, 78% senior scholarship rate. Very impressive. I'm not going to go through all this, man. You coach 4 NFL athletes, personally trained over 200 kids, and congrats to you, 3-time Coach of the Year and 4 District Player of the Year. And that's just some, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't even get to all of it. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody, man. I'm not going to sit here and not get you in this spotlight. And I know when you and I talked, you kept it humble, but let's talk about it. Like, this is impressive, and you still ain't done, because I saw you guys a few years ago. You lost to that team from the Richmond area in the state championship, Manchester, right? So you've had a sip, but you couldn't drink it all. You guys got close, and I know you want to get back, and we're going to talk about what happened last year in a second. But just right now, I know you got a game today. You got to focus on your opponent. But let's just talk about that right there. I mean, a lot of people would not have taken the Freedom job. I mean, look, there's programs all throughout Virginia in different jurisdictions. People say you can never win there. And I come from an area, and you come from an area where we went to school with kids, and we were labeled ourselves. We were labeled, I'm from Hampton, I'm from Newport News. So, they say certain things about certain areas. Same thing where you from, and same thing about Freedom. Freedom was labeled. And you got there, and now a handful of years later, you've done all of this, man. Are you surprised, or you expected this?
Well, honestly, I expected it, bro. Like you said, I took over. The school had never won more than 3 games in a season, and the school had been open since 2004. So, my first year we go 3-7, but we had some close games. Like we lost to Colonial Forge, who was number 1 in the region in double overtime. We lost to Hylton in 4 overtimes. We lost to Forest Park on an untimed down. So even that first year, you saw, what we were going. And like you said, Reggie and Corey, guys were supportive of the program. Then the next year we went 8-3. Then the next year we went, I want to say 10-1. And then the next year we went 12-2, and we lost in the state championship.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I mean? Like you said, it's been a journey. Then after the state championship year, we think we got our best team, and we lose in the regional semifinal, with, one of our best players out. And then the COVID year was the next year. So, like you said, man, it's been a journey, but I always knew this. Like you said, I was passed up on the Woodbridge job twice, Garfield twice. Mr. Bryson, my AD, and Miss Bryant saw something, believed in me.
Really? Hold on, Coach. You were passed. I didn't know that. I'm sure there's some people watching now that didn't know. You were passed up twice by Garfield and who else?
Well, twice by Woodbridge.
Woodbridge, excuse me.
Once by Garfield.
Okay.
And, like you said, they just went with a bigger name at the time. And like you said, man, I came in and did my thing from the beginning. So it's been a journey, but it's also been, like you said, rewarding. And they just put something in the paper the other day, like all the Division I football players from Prince William County, and it was like 60, and we had like a third of them. So, like you said, man, I don't know. Like, I feel like I still do it the old school way. You know what I mean? Like, my kids are my kids. Like, they can call me. We talk. Like, we're a close group, man. And again, the negative stigma with the school couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. Like, you come from somewhere where you've seen things that are bad, like it's a bad place.
Yeah.
This is not a bad place. It's not even in a bad area.
No, it's not. It's not.
But the other part of that is this, bro. Like, our football program, like you said, we go by, only the family and operate as that. And if you're here in this building, you wouldn't think nothing different. I came from Colonial Forge, which is, a more mixed school, diverse school. And I dealt with more issues there than being here. As far as stuff happening in the school, off the field, with the student body, or anything. So, I just think, like you said, that's a stigma that comes with it. But I also believe some of that stuff, is self-inflicted, not by the people in the school, but people from the outside. And, it is what it is. But we kind of use that as our mantra. And like you said, it really applies to life. And it's not to be sad, or we don't want nobody's going to feel sorry for you, give you no sympathy. You got to figure it out. And it is going to be tougher for you sometime, coming from where you come from, or your background, or your demographic.
Yeah.
It is be that. So what? What you going to do about it?
No doubt. I mentioned years ago when I first got into youth football, I don't do youth football no more. I do AAU, and I got the Vicktory Life Youth Sports Organization, but I still keep my eyes and ears to the streets. I actually saw PME scrimmage, the 703 United a few weekends ago, ran into Reggie, saw some good kids out there. It was 10U, some talent on both sides. But you and your brother have created, you mentioned old school, you created an old dynamic. One of the things I noticed when I moved up here several years ago, when I was done playing college and pro ball, is, as you mentioned, the youth leagues had kind of split off into more territorials where, like, when you played, it was one league. That's how it was with mine. And the thing I told my wife and a lot of the coaches I coached with, it was strange to me because where I'm from, you had the youth, you had a youth team that fed into the middle school, and the middle school fed into the high school. So you had kids that were together all the time. And all of a sudden, by the time they got to their junior and senior years, they were positioning themselves to win states. For you, you guys have created that with PME. You guys have created that with PME with your brother Jeff and your other coaches, man. Just talk about, that only the fan mantra of the youth league, Potomac Middle and Freedom, and what you guys have created as far as your organization and the high schools.
So, truthfully, hold on, Brent.
Yep.
Let me close my door. So, truthfully, Coach James West is the basketball coach here at Freedom. And my brother Howard played football and basketball at Freedom before I was a coach, the one that played in the NFL for like 8 years.
8 years, yep.
So, he already had the OTF thing in the school. So, I just went with it even further. So, I always tell people, I didn't necessarily start that at Freedom, but I just went with it. I helped him coach basketball. And, like you said, it kind of, when we first started PME, we knew everybody. And even now, we've gotten back to that. Like, everybody that's coaching on these teams, I've known for a long time. Like Reggie, I know since 7th grade. Mario, I know since 7th grade, one of our 9U coaches. Jawan, our 6U coach, Jawan Banks, I've known him forever. Ryan, Rue. I've known all these people my entire life. And I think when you get it to that point, like you said, now it feels like family. Now, it doesn't mean everything's perfect and everything goes according to plan all the time. That's never what it was about or what it meant. But it's like you said, it's not for everybody. And that's okay too. It's for who it's for. And like you said, man, we kind of waved that flag with pride. And like you said, I'm not saying I didn't start it. I didn't start it. I just adopted it. And that's really because I felt like that. Coach West made me feel like that coming here coaching basketball as well as football. And I kind of like it just went with it. That's why if you notice every time I posted, I kind of put him in there as well, and stuff like that. But it's one of those things that is stuck and it's something that is not tangible, but it feels tangible. It feels like it is. Even when you're just at our games, the vibe, it's just like you feel it. And it has that old feeling like, it's a hostile environment with everybody, and you just feel it.
You talk about feeling it, and I'm sure you felt this is the fact that with winning comes hate. Because truth be told, if you talk about winning programs, you're going to have a lot of people who respect you, a lot of people who are happy for you, but even more people who hate you. And that's just the way it is. Like, people for years hated the Patriots when Tom Brady was there because they won. You found different reasons, and that's the pro level. Same thing in high school, same thing in college. Freedom has now established itself every year as a perennial team to win the district, obviously. Y'all, and obviously many times a team that could potentially win a state title. I've been around this game a long time, both football and basketball. I played both. I've been around some of the greatest teams and greatest players in VHSL history. And it's funny because people will only talk about relevant programs, and the one common theme is they win. You and I are both a part of that Princeton County sports page, which I love because you get to see a lot of different teams and keep up with kids. But also, you can tell when somebody posts something, they make a face, or you can feel the hate from your phone. Last year, you faced some serious adversity. You guys were having a great season. You were heading to a great showdown with Garfield. And all of a sudden, it was breaking news throughout the county that you had some ineligible players. I know you can't get into the logistics of it.
No, I can't.
Okay, well then let's go. What was the story behind that? Because you hear rumors, you saw some people that were laughing, you saw some people who were very hurt and disappointed. But give us your story behind that whole situation.
So, like you said, we talked about it some last year. Bottom line is, a young man who lived in our school district. He lived in our school district. He was on a transfer at another school. So he didn't go to our school. He went to another school. So he established eligibility at another school. COVID came. The dad lost his job, whatever. Legit. He wasn't even in the country no more. The young man couldn't get transportation no more to that school. So when the kid reached out to me and us and asked, would he be eligible to play? Not that I didn't ask my AD. I asked the person in charge at central office. And they said for him to be eligible, he had to move. Now, the young man moved, legitimately moved. But the person that instructed us to do that did not know that the VHSL rule says you can't move within the same school district to establish eligibility. So he already lived in our school district. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
So it's not like, you know what I mean? So like you said, people tried to make it this. First off, it was a kid, to this day, he goes to school with my son. He has 0 offers. He's at VMI full scholarship. You know what I mean? He played 1 game for us and got an offer.
Wow.
He's a lineman at VMI. So it wasn't a kid that we didn't know we were going to have. And 2, to be honest, from a football standpoint, we didn't necessarily need him. He's a project kid. He played basketball for 3 years. He was 6'7", and I said, boy, you're not playing no basketball nowhere. you know what I mean? Like, you're not. So, that's all it was, bro. It wasn't even like some big plot to screen. The only thing that's disheartening is you ask the people in charge and they tell you the wrong information.
But it cost you guys 2 games, right?
Yep.
It cost you 2 games, and y'all were having an undefeated season, correct?
Yes, sir.
And let's true or false. And you've been around this county, and I've been around this county, and I've been around this state. True or false? That kind of activity, moving here, happens everywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, but this is the thing, bro. I'm just honest with you. It don't matter when it's us and it's freedom. It's just different, bro. Like that's just the truth. That's all I can tell you. Like, think about this. Our school, we beat Westfield, who was on a 2-year back-to-back state championship. Think about this. We go to Westfield and beat them. Our own school district launches an investigation the week of the state championship, pulling our kids from class to ask the kids, did I tell them to hurt the quarterback on purpose at Westfield? Hold up. Our own school district, bro. Our own school district. The week of the state championship is pulling our kids out of class to ask them, did we or the coaches, because the quarterback from Westfield got hurt. Clearly, there's pictures of us praying on the field, which you've never seen for the boy. We literally are praying over the boy, the whole team around him. And my own school district investigates us. So I don't know what it is. It's always a different set of rules for us, bro. I mean, I'm telling you, like the stuff I've been through, like I said, I've been through like 8 investigations. Like they launched an investigation on me this summer, on where I parked my car at school.
You're not. Yeah, are you being serious right now? Where you parked your car?
So listen, because I parked it where I wasn't supposed to, no different than any other coach anywhere. So they launched an investigation there, right? Then 2 weeks ago, we had the incident where somebody fired a gun in our parking lot.
I read about that.
After the game, you didn't see nobody from risk management. Didn't come here to ask a kid anything. Anything. But when we won and was trying to go to state championship, they pulling our kids out of class to ask them about this. So it's honest, man. We just take it, like you said, with a grain of salt. It is what it is. You know, even going through that situation, the people that vote to decide if the kid can be eligible or not, it's the people you play against. So
real talk.
So what are they gonna say? And it benefited them. So it just doesn't seem like it, but we're not expecting nothing different, bro. Just being honest with you. So, you know, it is what it is. And like you said, I've been through some crazy stuff here. And, you know, hopefully, like you said, all that's behind us. And like you said, I've been trying to be more acknowledging all the people that do love and support my programs at school than addressing the people that got issues. But it's been crazy.
It comes with winning, though, Coach. I mean, Coach Overton, it comes with winning. I mean, at the end of the day, man, especially in the area you're at, I mean, I've been around this, and I'm not afraid to say it. I have contracts with Princeton County Public Schools. I do a lot of community work, a lot of great work, but I see stuff for what it is. I have three children at 3 different high schools, 2 at different high schools, 1 at the middle school. So I'm all over Prince William County. I've been living up here since 2000. So I see the discrepancies. I see it. And people say stuff, and labels make me upset. But that's the world we live in. As you and I being former players, what that should do, and I know it does for you guys, it should drive you guys to be even closer and to make sure that you keep it only the family on and off the field. Correct?
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's brought us closer. Like, we went to a game 2 years ago. They had a Trump rally in the parking lot when we got there. Then we went to a game and they were doing the no hombre to kill the gorilla thing. The gorilla had a gorilla suit on. So, bro, and like you said, all these things have happened. And you never see nobody there to support our school.
A gorilla?
Yeah, and it was like, what's it called? No hombre or something. Yeah, the gorilla suits. But you never see anybody there to support our school, our program with stuff going on. It's only to see like, okay, let's see if they did something. So, but we know what it is. And that's that, man. It's like you said, it don't even deserve no entertainment.
No doubt. A few more questions for you, Coach, and I'm gonna let you get ready for your game. Just a few more. You got a good team again this year. I told you before we started recording this episode, I'm gonna get out there in a few weeks to see you guys take on Unity Reed, another good team at Prince William County with a lot of talent like Freedom. But ultimately, your goal is to win a state championship. I know you're not going to get carried away with making proclamations, but talk a little bit about the team you have this year and also how far you think you guys can go.
Man, I think our team this year is a different dynamic where every other year we've had like a standout superstar. I think this year we just have a good team. And we have a really young team. Like we're starting all 10th graders on the back end, predominantly 10th graders at the receivers, except for 2 receiver spots. I think where we're senior driven and have a older group is in our defensive front. Like our linebackers and our D line are a very older group and really, know what they're doing. And I think that's where we kind of got some hidden strengths. But this team, I think, is one of those teams that we get better every week. And I think we've got the program where we expect to be one of those final 8 teams. And then you let chips fall where they may from there.
Gotcha.
So I never want to say I'm not guaranteeing we're going to win a state championship, but I plan on us every year being in the fold when it gets to that time of the year.
Yeah.
And I think it's like you said, if you don't have that expectation level, what are you doing? I mean, and that's not slighting anyone else.
No,
I mean,
it's true.
The game's got to be played no matter what. But that's always our goal. Like, we getting on our kids at halftime last week. I had to calm myself down and the coaches down. We went in 49-26 at halftime. And we absolutely going crazy on the kids. And then he had to tone it back and say, it's just because our expectation level is higher than most. And so, so I think we're going to have a good team. And I think, like you said, we plan on being there in the end. Like you said, I love our schedule. You get Brook Point, who's a solid team. Then you get Riverbend, who perennially is a little bit better. And good players, 2 D1 players. Then we play Stonebridge, state champs.
Oh, woo.
Then we play Unity Reed, another good program, good athletes all over the field. So I love our schedule, our first 4 games. It'll let us know where we're at going into the district.
Oh man, I'm gonna try to get to that Stonebridge game. Good Lord, that's gonna be I love high school football. And speaking of high school football, you have a lot of guys that are left and going on to college. I know you can't name everybody, but this weekend, actually starting tonight, kicks off college football. And then this weekend you have games. You got players at Virginia Tech. Talk about just where you have kids at. Shout out some of your players in college. I know it's too many to name, but you got kids all over, man. Just shout them out, man. Talk about where they at.
Shout out, we got Fuga at Tech, Ramel Harris at Delaware State, Rashawn Lee at South Carolina, Jaden Smith at Norfolk State, my son Jason Tarpe at VMI, Quest Powell at North Carolina Central, Amari Hatcher at Syracuse.
Wow.
Shoot, man, I don't want to leave none of them.
No, you're not gonna be the name of them all. That's fine.
Back is at Wise. Like I said, man, we doing that right for sure.
I love it.
We're doing that part of it right, and like you said, it's not just me when it comes to that. It's our school. It's everybody. Everybody's on board with getting the kids to the next level, and from the counseling to teachers, like you said, bro. I had 2 teachers that I pay as coaches just to do study hall and work with my kids.
And talk about. I'm glad that's a great segue because I wanted you to shout out your assistant coaches because people always look at you because you're the face of the program, but you definitely have some phenomenal assistant coaches. Talk about your assistant coaches a little bit, man.
And like I said, all guys I know, Coach Johnson, I know him since I was 14. He coached me. Cody, who's a PME guy, Coach Tony Mooney, Chris Davis. I got a guy from Lake Braddock, Chris Cousins, great guy. Rock. Who else? My man BT, who does our special teams. And as a coach, my weakness was special teams. And BT, the interview was, he sent me an 8-page PowerPoint on special teams. And I said, you're hired. So I like you said, man, I'm excited with the guys I got as always. The thing that I think also speaks highly on our program, bro. I got 2 head coaches at other programs that came from our program and a college coach.
You got a guy at Osborne Park, right?
Yep. And then the coach at Flint Hill coached with me, coached under me. And then the coach at Townsend, the running back coach, coached with me. Now, these 2 guys started off with me. No experience, no nothing. So I think that speaks, levels to our program as well. You know what I mean? That I'm all about supporting and building people up. And, that's what we do, man. Take a lot of pride in that.
That's great, man. One last question, Coach, and this is probably one of the most important parts of our show is we are at the point where I let my guests give their final thoughts, man. You have been through your fair share of adversity, but you've experienced even more success. You credit your parents, your brothers, the teachers at Freedom High School, your assistant coaches, and the great place you've had through that program. Given what you've experienced so far in life as a successful head coach and mentor to so many young people in the community, you have a voice, you have a platform, and people are going to listen. With that being said, in this final segment of your show, talk about some advice you want to give to people right now who might be going through a rough patch in their life, or they're trying to become a great athlete like you were, or they're just trying to become a great young man or young woman who's a productive person in society. Just talk about what advice you want to give to them so they can keep pushing forward and make it to where you've been and beyond.
Man, the 2 biggest things I preach to my kids here is no excuses, no explanations, and be tougher than your life. Like, you don't need excuses and explanations if you're doing what you say you're going to do. And be tougher than your life. No matter what your circumstances are, you got to be tougher than your life. And that just doesn't mean I'm poor. That could mean I don't have the internet at my house, but I want to do this. You got to be tougher than your life, and don't make excuses and don't make explanations. Those are for losers. Figure it out. Get it done. No excuses, no explanations, and be tougher than your life, man.
There you have it. I love it. And Coach Darryl Overton is definitely getting it done, man. And shout out to him and his program, to his players and his assistant coaches. This has been a lot of fun. This has been very insightful. We've been looking forward to this for a while. You and I talked about this summer. We finally got our schedules to match up, man. I'm going to be following you along with a lot of people that support you, and to all your supporters, to you and your staff, to your PME family, and to the families that support your program, I say thank you. And on behalf of Coach Darryl Overton, to all the Vicktory Life Legacy Spotlight supporters, we say thank you. And like I say every episode, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, make sure you have a positive impact. You leave a great legacy. Shout out to Coach Darryl Overton, man. Good luck this season. Thank you for repping the Vicktory Life brand. Please, guys, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Great interviews like this with great guys and women who have a great legacy and have been through a lot and shown a lot that you can do, man. Subscribe to the channel. Support these young people out here. And thank you, Coach Overton. You have a blessed week, man. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, man.